Hey, good morning to the members of the 182nd Airlift Wing. How are you for a June scheduled drill coming up this drill weekend? Sorry it took me a while to get to this podcast, but it takes a lot of effort to put into it and to carve out time. I'm just not that good at it. Overall, I put it off for a couple months back during the inauguration, and when there were so many changes coming to us at the wing, it just seemed like we needed to take our time because there were so many changes. We didn't know where things were getting. It was getting really fuzzy, to be honest with you. A multitude of executive orders coming down with the new leadership, all that we're going to follow and do our best to follow the best we can. Probably the biggest thing that we had was a hiring freeze. Hiring freeze came down based on the guidance that you're going to take 5 to 8% cuts over the next 4 years. Initially, we thought that was 5 to 8% over that 4-year time period, but then it came back that no, it's going to happen 5 to 8% per year. And also on top of that, a lot of those positions we were not able to hire, which makes it very hard when you're playing the shell game between part-timers, full-timers, technicians and AGRs, and then Title V employees. On top of that, what we also had was a resignation option for people that were Title Vs. At one time, we didn't know if it was Title Vs or Title 32s, but it turns out it was Title Vs. We've had 3 people take that option. They're going to be able to retire. Great for them. It works good. It's just a little bit hairy when it comes down to the Guard and the way that we're manned. You know, overall, the Air National Guard only has about 25% of the people in active duty wing, which that's why we are a value option whenever it comes to utilize the Air National Guard. The problem with that is, so you have 25% the manning of active duty. Well, we are only funded at 70% of that. So whenever you look at out of hide, the cuts we take it, we're getting cut more overall than ever other agencies. If you look across the base, there's a lot of places that are only 1 or 2 people deep on the full-time side. So if you take a cut in that area, it's going to affect you in the grand scale a little bit more. And a lot of times we don't have an option as a leadership of the base where that cut is going to come from. So we've worked through that. I don't think everything's 100% solidified, but we have a way forward, and we're just looking at those changes as they come on a daily basis. A couple other things that have happened more recently. Well, the border is now secure, which was considered one of our number one homeland threats in the United States. You still have the Ukraine-Russian war going on. I don't think that's coming to an end anytime soon. Just 2 days ago, I got the news that Ukraine infiltrated Russia. They took out 35% of their bombers. Yesterday, I was at a senior leader engagement for our state partnership piece with Poland, and I talked to the chief intel from Poland. A very sharp guy, runs the Air Operations Center Intelligence Division, fluently speaks Russian, Polish, German, and English. Very sharp guy, deep history. And I asked him, I said, based on these recent attacks that happened in Russia, with the peace talks that's happened in Istanbul, what is the likelihood of this actually coming to an end anytime soon? And he was clear to say, because we're not even halfway through. From my perspective, I think we still have another 2 to 3 years to go. The Russian leadership, they will not accept defeat. They may not take a 100% win, but publicly, the only thing they want to be said is that they win. So that was his projection. Like, we are nowhere close. Not good news, but that's where we're at. The next thing we'll talk about is China. All the senior leader engagements that I go to, whether it's in the Air National Guard or active duty, the thing is China. And that conversation comes forward talking about 27, be ready to go against China. Now, nobody wants to go to war, and the number one way to deter war is to be ready. And so that's what our number one focus is right now, is going through these readiness inspections and evaluations to make sure we can do our warfighting skills and we can respond to threats and defend the base. And we're going to prove that here at the CRI and shortly at Volk in Wisconsin coming up in September. But I want to talk a little bit about why China and why 27. I talked about this a little bit in our ASOG redesignation. As many of you know, we stood down the ASOG, which housed our TACPs, 1FSC, and many others, and we stood up a contingent response group. And one of the things I talked about in that brief was why China, why now? And when I did a little bit of reading on it, it brought me back to World War II. In World War II, China was decimated and humiliated by the Japanese. Shortly after that, they had a civil war where they just beat the tar out of one another, honestly. And in approximately 1949, that's when they developed the People's Republic of China. Whenever in 1949, the first thing they did was put together a war council, and they brought their council of generals together. And the leadership at the time said, we are going to be the world leader in 100 years. And they came up with a 100-year plan. As many of you seen your PME, and this is what I related it to, it's not necessarily in this order, was the dime method. So they made the determination that diplomatically, they are going to underline alliances that the competitors have, as well as build alliances around the world. Build up ports, build highways, whatever they need to do to build infrastructure around the world to get buy-in from third world countries. Informationally, they want to be in charge of any narrative that goes out of their country. They want to control propaganda, and they would control what comes into their country. One example would be Facebook. What they want their people to look at, what they don't want them to look at. Militarily, they made a plan. They want to be the superpower in that as well. They steal trade secrets from fighters, bombers, sea vessels. They have all of our blueprints that we utilize. They have an infrastructure that can build this a lot quicker than the United States. A lot of it's not been battle tested, but they do have it. And the fourth thing of that dime, diplomatic, information, military, is economics. Look right now who is the supermarket power of the world. They already have it. And if you look at the last 25 years, starting from 1999 to now, they've quadrupled their capability in the military to the point where they have more capability than the United States military and our NATO allies. So it is a real threat. So why do I talk about that, and how does that affect what's happening in the U.S. right now, and why China is important in 2027? It goes back to about 2017 when Xi Jinping has been the president for 4 years. And one thing that he had said was, I want to be the superpower of the world by 2030. And so he brought together that war council, the exact same one they did in 1949, the same components, and said, hey, how do we get there from now to get to 2030? But also, I want to be the president to see this to the end. So no more term limits going forward. I want to be the one that sees this. So the National Security Council for the United States at the time looked at this. And they made a recommendation to Congress. And they said, hey, we need to shift focus from the global war on terror, which we've been doing for nearly 20 years, and look at the Pacific. What are we going to do? We're going to have to make cuts. So it goes down from Congress to the secretaries, and they say, hey, you need to make changes. And this is when it becomes more local. They look at the Air National Guard and say, what changes do you want to make? One of them was the band. You need to make a cut. The director of the Air National Guard made a design. Okay, we're taking out the 5 squadrons, if you will, bands in the Air National Guard. Yes, they could help with recruiting to get members ready in the military to go to the Pacific, but they're not directly contributing to that. So that went away. The next thing was investments in newer aircraft. The Air National Guard that has legacy aircraft, C-130H, which we have, is one of those, but also they made an investment to go forward and support C-130J. So that's affecting our base directly. And the third thing is the TACP ASOG mission set. They saw, listen, it's not going directly to the Pacific right now, so we're going to take a 50% cut from 2021 to 2025. And in that same time frame, we're going to build up contingency response group with the 182nd, just started up last month, or I guess it was April 1st was whenever it became official. So those are the investments all directing back to China and why they want to go forward. But the conversation coming out of China is, no, maybe we aren't going to wait till 2030. Now we're going to do it in 2027. What will be the tipping point to make that actually happen? And it would probably be the invasion of Taiwan. And the U.S. has been very steadfast in saying that is what we will defend overall. China sees it as part of their country. Historically, it was. The U.S. does not want them to invade them, so that's where the hard point is in the line. And that's why all the readiness levels from the Department of Defense down says you need to be ready. And that's what we're doing, getting ready for these exercises. Once again, we don't want to go to war, but we want to deter war. If we can ramp ourselves up to work at a certain level at all times, meet these inspections, and do a good job, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. All right, next, what happened over the month? This is a pretty good shift switching over. So recruitment numbers. For years, we've had trouble ever since COVID. Our recruiting numbers have been low. I don't know why that direct reason is, but it's been low. But since November, and you can find out your own reasons why, we've hit a 5-year high. We've had more people come in the door than we've had before. We have expanded our recruiting envelope. We have a lot more people from Chicago, thank goodness. 8 million people in that population. We can finally find people to get down here to the Peoria Air National Guard. Great people. I love sitting in the dining facility and talking to all the new recruits coming in. It was a concern, and you hear it all kinds of conversations. What's happening with the next generation? Talking to those people in the dining facility, we are in good hands. We have good people coming in the door. Last month, you had the Standards and Readiness Review, which got pushed down from the Department of Defense, and that is basically do a blues inspection and profession of arms, family care plans, help people get ready. And one of those things which is more emotional was the blues inspection, which I think most people actually enjoyed it. It was a good thing to be able to do that, and I want to be clear to say that that's always been a requirement to maintain your military uniform and stay fit to get in that military uniform. But that's a challenge, right? Because we are not funded with a clothing allowance in order to maintain that. We are underfunded to maintain that. So we found ways so people get uniforms if they were deficient in what they had. There's airman addicts across the base in multiple squadrons, LRS, the wing headquarters. I know Operations Group has one as well, and there's a couple more that I can't think of right now. Big picture is, if you don't have what you need for the blues, it's not the end of the world. Go to LRS, get supply, get that documented, and get your equipment and get ready to go. It's going to be a requirement at any PME you go to. If you have training for a class, it is going to be a requirement that you have that, or they will send you home. They've already started doing it. It's just a matter of time. So when you get a TLN to go to a school, be adamant to go over and get your equipment taken care of as quick as you possibly can. An update on the conversion. So C-130H going to the C-130J. We are assigned 8 C-130Hs. We've given 2 away, so we're now down to 6. 2 of those C-130Hs, which have been great here in Peoria for many, many years, have gone to Connecticut, the 183rd Air Wing, which is going to be going to their Djibouti deployment this year. So we gave those up. The other 6, they've been identified which wings they're going to go to. We will hold on to the majority of our C-130Hs until after the readiness inspection in September. And then November 2nd, that'll be the last day over that drill that we finally let those H models go. And that's when we'll go into the J model conversion. Right now, we're looking at June of next summer to have those C-130Js. We'll get 4 in that month. And then a couple will be sprinkled in until we get 8 aircraft here about December of 2026. So it's going to be quieter on the base, especially on drill weekends. Nobody's going to be flying after November drill all the way to June at the earliest. And that schedule is on target right now with Lockheed Martin. The planes are not in production yet. They will hit production here in the next couple months. The Montana Air National Guard's getting 4 C-130Js just before us, and they've only got 1 tail in production right now. So I would assume probably by August timeframe, we'll have our first aircraft that's going to be coming to Peoria going through production. Last month, we had the ASOG redesignation. I talked about that a little bit as they are going from ASOG and been around a part of this base in some capacity since it was founded in the 1940s. So great people doing great things around the world, lots of awards, decorations, just a phenomenal group of people, very passionate, just like the band, very educated. But yeah, we stood that down, and we're going to the CRG, Contingent Response Group, and that's looking really good right now. We're going to have 125 people manning that organization. We're about 65% manned right now, which is really good because we just started April 1st, and we have 2 years to get to initial operating capability. So I think we're going the right way. We are taking that out of hide in a lot of ways. We hired extra security forces and 2 T2s. Aero porters, so that whenever we move people down CRG, we wouldn't have to take it out of those squadrons, which is really going to hurt. But we do have to stand up that group, and it is taking a lot of manpower from around the base. We all are going to be a part of this, and we are all going to make that grow. So please be patient. There's still about 50 vacancies down in the organization, and a lot of good things happening between training and exercise already starting. So if you're interested in travel, it could open your eyes, and you could really reblue yourself doing a new mission if that's any interest to you. Last month, we had the retirement dinner. We had 37 of our retirees to walk across the stage. We had nearly 400 guests overall. It was a great event. I look forward to it every year, and I look forward to people come there. Maybe we can find a better public speaker opposed to myself to get people there, but it's a good time just to feel the passion that people had that were at this organization, some of them over 40 years, to come back to reconnect with people that they served so many years with. On the theme of retirements, we have a couple retirements going to happen this weekend. It's going to be Chief Master Sergeant Yem and Lieutenant Colonel Armentrout. Chief Master Sergeant Price is not retiring this weekend, but his advertisement's coming here soon. He'll be stepping out of the way and get to cross the new calendar year in January. So we'll be looking for a brand new Chief Master Sergeant. It's been great working with Chief Price, but looking at the schedule for the next 3 to 4 years, we try to find a time that made the most sense for him to step aside and give somebody else the opportunity. And we're working through that right now. No doubt that we'll have great candidates, great people doing good things. Last month, we did something the first time we'd done at the 182nd Airlift Wing, and it was we heard about it at a Wing Commander conference, and then Chief Price ran with it. So it's NCO induction ceremony. What a great event when people first hit E5. I really enjoyed that event. I was looking forward to it, but just the pride that people had going across the stage to show that, hey, you made it to become a wing asset. You're speaking on behalf of the man of the wing, and you're stepping into a role that really means something. To the airmen of the base, you become relied upon as a subject matter expert. You become advisor to your leadership. That was just, we have good people all around, right at the very beginning to the mid-level NCOs and all the way up. I really enjoyed that. We're going to expand that for the senior NCOs, and we're going to plan on doing that in November drill. Last drill, we also had a town hall. So open it up to airmen, NCOs, everybody across the base. Please come forward. This is your base. We want you to take care of it just as much as we do. And a couple of the themes that came up were child care. Having more child care options for people to come to drill. We addressed that. We ran that down. We have one provider right now, which is not at 100% capacity. So if you need child care during your drill, please go forward. There are openings to get that. We also have another one we're working with DOD to make sure that gets approved in the Peoria area. Right now, there's only 2 approved facilities to provide child care. But the more requests we get, the more we're going to fight to get it. But right now, we are not at capacity. There are openings. At the town hall, another thing came up with the RSD schedule. So there was a little bit of issues with the 033 schedule going away, which it has. There was some concern that we were taking off drills and piling on drills when we didn't necessarily need it. And what we didn't do on our part was provide that data. And so that's what we did. You're going to see the drill schedule that just came out or just got approved by the tag, and it has what we're going to be doing each drill weekend. And there's some drills that are 2 days, there's some that are 3 days, and there are 4 days. And we did that to take advantage of the training, give airmen time back as needed, but also to maximize our contract lodging. I've talked about that ever since I've been in the position, but the cost keeps rising since COVID. What used to be under $300,000 a year had risen over getting closer to $500,000 a year. So we've made many changes trying to find out how can we limit how much we're spending, because when we pay for that, we're not paying for other things. Now, lodging is not an entitlement. With that being said, I benefited from it for many years. 25 of my 32 years, I was a commuter, and I needed that hotel. And when I couldn't get one, I stayed with friends or I paid for my hotel. But I understand the weight that brings to people. So we had a limit based on mileage and rank who would get that hotel so we could get that cost back down. Well, our contracting team reached out and they talked to Bradley University. And they said, hey, what's the likelihood in the summer months that we could utilize some of that billeting for some of our service members? And they think we can do that, almost down to $25 a night. So about a third of what we're paying now. And then we can bring more people into Bradley over the summer months. So we're still working on the agreements and how we do that, because we have to consider everything, what we do, who brings the linens, who cleans up, who's going to be reaching out to law enforcement, who's going to do the reservations. We have to think about alcohol use. We have to talk about sexual assaults. We have to get all that codified so we can go forward with that. But expect that in the future, that we should be able to stay at Bradley University here in Peoria and trim some of the cost, open it up for more people, and go forward with that. But that ultimately, when you see 2 4-day drills in the RSD schedule for next year, regularly scheduled drill schedule for next year, that is why we did that. And we will have to come up with a plan, if you do a makeup drill, to urge people to do it in the summer so we can keep that cost down so that more people can utilize the contract building. We've tried to find ways on base where people could stay. That's a little bit of a challenge. We're getting there, but I'd rather have your own bed, own room, instead of have to stay on base if we have to. Over the next month, you've heard me talk about the term the deployable combat wing. So the Air Force has gone to a wave, Air Force generation model, where they stop deploying people onesies and twosies, and they take a wing to do it on their own. Or actually, in the Air National Guard, to be paired up with another wing. So 29-2 is what the Air National Guard, or for the Peoria Air National Guard, is scheduled to deploy. So that'd be April of 29. And we're going to be paired up with a fighter unit. And that's going to be the 122nd Fighter Wing in Fort Wayne. They fly F-16s. They just went through conversion from A-10 to F-16s. I talked with the wing commander. General McDonough talked with their ATAG. Everybody's on board. And that's where we should be deploying, or when we should be deploying here in the next few years. That does not mean the entire wing will deploy. At the entire wing, there'll be about 400 people that will deploy out of that. I bring that up for a couple of reasons. Because we're going to go through that DCW, we get the wing ready to deploy. And so a year before that, about 28/2, so April of 2028, when we're going to start exercising with them to get ready for whatever deployment that's going to be. We'll be coming through out of the conversion from the CRG and also the C-130J. Just because the wing deploys during that DCW does not mean the tails and maintenance will go there at the exact same location. So we're still waiting to find that out. On the topic of deployers, we currently have approximately 20 people out across the world in different capacities in a deployment mode. We have other crews all over the world as well, but those are the people that are approximately 100 days out of pocket. We get short-term deployments coming out in 2026, and so we get another approximate 25 taskings. And that should be the last time that we deploy people in this construct before we go to the deployable combat wing. Urinalysis. So with cuts happening to the military, much like other things have been cut, now our DDRP program, we had a contractor on base that did the urinalysis. We have just under 1,200 people at the base right now. 100% of those people have to be tested with a urinalysis on an annual basis. It's a $10 million program, and we've been notified that that contract will be going away. What does that mean? That means we have to do that out of hide like we'd always done before, prior to 2019, where medical clinic generates who needs to be tested for the month. We go to the different groups and squadrons and we get people come be observers and do the documentation for that. So honestly, it comes talking out of both sides of your mouth when it comes for higher levels that we need to be ready in 2027 for any kind of threat. But then we're taking out of hide people to go watch people take a urinalysis. So it is what it is. It wasn't my decision. We're just going to make it happen as we work that out over the next few months. The first time we're going to do that is November drill. Over the last month, we had our German partners here. So we made friends with them and Air Defender 23. We had them here for Proptoberfest last September. We had them here in March as well. And now it's to the point where they want to learn some of the capabilities that we have at the 182nd Airlift Wing. Most recently, why they want to build a partnership is because they were called to do some airdrops at the Gaza Strip. And they were told 6 days in advance the kind of drop they would do. And it's not a universal military airdrop they asked them to do. So their Chief of Staff of the Air Force asked them to learn a new capability, which we do all the time here in Peoria. And so they reached out to us based on the relationship at those previous exercises. Hey, can we come be a part of your local lines and fly with you? Do airdrops, do night vision goggles and flying. So that's why you're going to see the German Air Force flying the E-400 in our local traffic pattern on our routes and be on a ramp a couple times a year, maybe up to 4 times per year. Yes, that'll halt for a little bit as we transition to C-130J, but we anticipate picking that back up on the other side. This weekend, what's happening? The biggest thing, the number one thing, our priority here at the wing is getting ready for our readiness inspection in September. We need to get ready for that because that's when the Air Mobility Command Inspector General team is coming here to evaluate us to ensure that we're ready. And that's why over the last 9 months since September, we've been practicing all of our war fighting skills, weapons training, TCCC, sea burning gear, communications, talking on the radio, par routes, all those kind of things. We are getting ready for that. So this weekend, we've done all that training since September. Now we're going to do our audit. We're going to put it to test. We're going to do a rodeo. We're going to do it down the hill near Building 320. And we're going to run people, select people that have been identified to go to the readiness inspection book and see where they're at. Look at their warfighting skills. How do you handle weapons? How do you do a salute report? How do you take care of a casualty? Sea burning, conventional attacks, all those things to get us ready for that. So now we have a couple more, 90 days to get ready and pivot if we're not getting ready. I think we're in a good position, but it's going to let us know where that we're at so we can go forward. What I ask from each and every person at this base, whether you're not going to or not, is I need to see a sense of urgency. That's the biggest thing that came out of September is somebody would come out of the woods firing a weapon and people didn't know if they could respond or not. You have a weapon in your hand. I need you to respond. I need you to report that to your UCC. I need you to defend yourself. I need you to defend the base and act like this is real. So I need a sense of urgency and I need a reality. Act like it's the real thing. I know that's a challenge because it's not really somebody firing at you. I have that problem when I go to the simulator in a C-130. Sometimes it's not real. It's almost like you're flying in a cartoon. We got to get to that. We have to be able to show AMC that we can do this. And all the dollars that we were given, we are doing what we are supposed to be doing. This may be our last chance to do it. We're going to be in conversion for a couple different missions for a couple years. The last thing we want to do is to not pass an inspection and have that hanging our heads while we don't have an opportunity to right our ship and let them know we're capable. I think we're good to go. I just ask you that. Be accommodating and show a sense of urgency. Those are some of the things that we are phenomenal here at the 182nd Airlift Wing. A couple opportunities. First Sergeant opportunities will be closing out this weekend for LRS, Combat Comm, and the CRG. If you're interested in one of those positions, please do it. That's another step of leadership that you can take care of the airmen. If you had troubles coming up or you see some gap that needs to be filled, that's a perfect opportunity for you to do so. Talked about a couple of retirements. One ask I have is the Honor Guard. A lot of the public speaking engagements I go to, General McDonough, anybody in the local area that represents the military, we get a lot of requests for people to stand in for the Honor Guard. And it makes an impression on the community. We look so crisp. The people doing it right now are absolutely phenomenal. I'm so proud of them. Please keep volunteering. Do that. Step up and find another way to serve. We need your help. I want to talk about this summer just a little bit. We have some people that don't get to travel very much, but I want to talk about, I said we had people on every continent of the world. There are opportunities here to travel, but I just want to go over some of the annual training opportunities there are for the different squadrons. Civil engineers are going to Hawaii this summer. They went to Canada last summer, built cabins up in British Columbia on the water. Ops and maintenance, LRS are going to Century North this summer up in Michigan, Alpena. They're going to be working on integrated mission sorties, working with fighters. Smoky Sam, so basically getting shot at, doing airdrops. They're going to go up there and have a good camp. Security Forces is going to Volk in Wisconsin. Medical Group and Surf P are going to San Diego, California, I believe at Coronado. Contingent Response Group, a lot of their individuals, before they stand up, are going to training. Art CR, what it is. They're going to be doing that. And also we have a couple events. They're going to be supporting us at the Cry. But they're going to Germany or Poland as well to work with the 431st out of Germany to work on contingent response. Combat Comm is going to be at Cyber Shield this summer. LRS will be at Husan Sabre as well with ops and maintenance, as I mentioned. Communication Squadron will be at Volk, and then FSS will be down to Savannah. We'll be bringing them down and picking them up for the 182nd Airlift Wing. It's a little bit longer than when I anticipated today. I apologize for not doing a podcast. I just want to thank each and every one of you for what you do. When I go out and represent the base, you make me do that. 75% of our people are part-time, and you make me proud to talk about each and every one of you. We have a great culture. I want you to be a part of it, folks. You're needed, valued, and wanted. Have a great drill weekend. Thank you.